Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, this is Best in Slot with your monthly update for Prehistoric Kingdom. Now, first things first, yes, this is a couple of weeks late now. I really am sorry for that, and I'll aim to do the June update a lot earlier since I know a lot of you use these videos to keep up to date on the game. It has, on my part at least, been a bit of a crazy couple of weeks, and typically putting together and scripting these videos takes up quite a lot of time. Little less so this month because it is quite a small devlog for me, but let's take a look at what we learned anyway. First up, as per usual, we have the overall view of the development, with the total development on the pre-alpha going up 6% over the past month. This was definitely a quiet month for the team, and by the sounds of it from the devlog, they've been working primarily on more behind the scenes stuff, prepping for the future. That's what this month was about. It was a preparation month, so hopefully we're going to have a little bit more to come in a few weeks with the next devlog. Deglog? On the plus side, animal implementation for the alpha has gone up by 200%, which sounds super impressive, but it's 2 to 6 out of 15 total. And really, that's what we're here for, isn't it? The animals and the rocks. Many rocks. Moving on to some of the more slightly exciting stuff, we have a new collection of really nice screenshots of one of the game's islands, the Temperate Continental Island. Now, despite a centralized mountain range, the island is primarily flat, as you can kind of see, and given the moderate temperature, or the temperate temperature, and proliferation, which is my word of the day, of greenery, it seems this is going to be the perfect island for sort of beginner level zoos, or for people who want to build their dream park without pesky things like, the earth getting in the way. I particularly like these pink-leafed trees that keep popping up. I wouldn't want to hazard a guess at the species. Trees aren't really my area of expertise. Expertise, huh? Good one, I did script that. But they do add a really nice splash of colour in an otherwise very green environment. One of the bigger changes I've made, despite the somewhat smaller scope of the update, was the introduction of human people into our parks. This is actually a really cool randomised system wherein the guests have a range of age demographics, weight, height, ethnicities and clothing options, and these are going to be randomised each time for each guest. Now, as long as there's a decent selection of options for all of these things, then we should see really good variation in our guests. Although, so far, it doesn't seem to include children, which is mildly disappointing, if only because, well, who else do you want to feed to your dinosaurs, really? It's worth keeping in mind that this is the very first pass at a guest system, and the aesthetics at least are likely to change going forward. The pathing for the guests is being worked on in time for Pre-Alpha 1, which is the next big update we're going to see for the game, and then they'll have needs and wants added for Pre-Alpha 2. Moving on from the humans to the stars of the show, the dinosaurs, and they've had a beautiful upgrade here thanks to a brand new shader. We're going to see this in action on two dinosaurs. First, the alternate species for the Edmontosaurus, the Ugrunaluk, which at this point I'm convinced they're making me say out loud on purpose. Anyway, the shader is providing some brand new details here which may be hard to spot at first, so we'll move on to the Fiscal Thesaurus briefly so you can see them in action on a feathered dinosaur, but what we really want to look at is the specific updates to the shader. Thankfully the PK devs have provided just that. The first of these is the body translucency, which is a pretty beautiful, fantastic looking addition to the game. You can see if you look towards the top of the sail here, where the muscle begins to thin out, that the patterning on the dinosaur lights up. You know, in the same way where you get your hand and you put it in front of a flashlight and it goes all pink and sort of shiny like a wet ditto. Furthermore, the dinosaurs can now, well, get wet, thanks to the addition of body wetness. I want to avoid saying the words body wetness much more at this point in time, but it's nice to know that our dinosaur's skin will react to the rain and it'll shine accordingly. Speaking of shine, the eyes of our dinosaurs will now also shine as well, catching the light and hopefully bringing just a tad more life to them. These details, the rain, the eyes and the translucency in particular, they're not huge details individually, but it's when they're brought together they become something more important. These are all ways for our dinosaurs to feel more like living, breathing creatures, which in a game like this, focused so wholly on the dinosaurs, is kind of an important thing. Next up, we've got a big group of Edmontosaurus. Now this is to highlight another aspect of the shader and also to discuss the future of the shader a little bit, the ability here to randomize skin tone. Now this isn't easy to spot, but if you stare really intently at your monitor, you should be able to spot that some of these dinosaurs have darker skin tones in some places than the other ones do. And no, I don't mean the one at the front and centre. This is in addition to them all having slightly random sizes, and in the future they'll also be physically affected, aesthetically affected, by disease and scar tissue and stuff like that. So even when you've got a big horde of similar species dinosaurs, we should have some pretty decent levels of randomization, which is again important to making each dinosaur feel like an individual. Next on to have a look at the species profiles for May. 4 dinosaurs and a sneaky non-dinosaur prehistoric creature have made the list this time around. We're not really going to spend ages picking these apart. I don't think there's ever much to say that you can't glean yourself just by, looking at the images. But what I do like to see is the alternate skins of the dinosaurs, as well as to compare the exhibit requirements a little bit. Our adorable Psittacosaurus, for example, has some really nice earth-toned skins, maybe lacking a little bit in colour variation, and understandably low environment requirements. It does, however, have quite a high tolerance for foliage, which makes a lot of sense for a small predator animal like this. It would spend a lot of time hiding within the foliage to escape from more dangerous dinosaurs, so it wants a lot of foliage. The Sauropelta, conversely, needs a lot more space, 5 times as much, but it also has a much more limited social roster and less interesting skins, I would say, other than the great looking igneous skin. The main skin looks like it's either intensely embarrassed or, rather metally, crying blood. I don't think either of those are a great look though in general, but the well scaled and well spiked model looks great at least. A non-feathered variant of the Thescelosaurus makes an appearance next. Say it quietly, but I think I do prefer the non-feathered version. Again, it's a pretty low-key dinosaur in terms of requirements, but our first look this month at feathered skins appearing as unlockables. You can see down in the lower right, as you get more DNA for the Thescelosaurus, you can unlock more skins, and this is the same with all the other creatures in the game. And a little side note, I really like that system. That is one of my favourite ways of unlocking skins I've seen in a video game. Now onto our non-dinosaur contender, the Hyaenodon. This carnivorous prehistoric mammal needs more space than any of those aforementioned dinosaurs, but still doesn't, rather surprisingly I guess, have very intense security requirements. It is only a 2-star animal. I do love the look, however, of that lupine skin. It's got this blackened muzzle. It's very threatening, very sort of bold, very cool looking. Finally, we have the Nothronychus. Nothronychus? I'm going for Nothronychus. Correct me if need be. Otherwise known as Slothful Claw, making it the best dinosaur ever, basically. This large insectivore isn't particularly environmentally picky, but does require a lot of privacy. Perhaps he's ashamed of his, abnormally long fingernails, basically. Who knows? Either way, it's a Therizinosaur, which is really cool. These aren't things we see in games very often at all. Big, feathered, typically classed as herbivorous, but we've got an insectivore here with massive claws, very unique creatures, and it's a slothy version, which is even better. We then get a quick look at the foliage from the temperate continental island from earlier, a host of different trees and bushes, and even a stack of bamboo appearing closer to the camera on the left hand side. We discussed last month just how much variety in foliage and texture these islands are going to have, even just upon release, and it doesn't seem like the temperate continental will be any different. And once again, I like the pink tree. Following that, we see a couple more creative assets to contain our dinosaurs and our humans. Whilst the prehistoric animal roster in this game is brilliant, it really is, it's full of interesting creatures, it is the creativity aspect that I think excites people a little bit more, because people have found themselves maybe a little bit frustrated with recent park builders that don't really emphasise the creativity as much, so we're kind of turning to Prehistoric Kingdom for the same thing. The small but notable addition of these hedges and also these rope fences aren't particularly interesting in and of themselves, if we're honest. Sorry Nathan, but add them to the list of existing fences and suddenly we're just getting more and more options in this huge expanding repertoire of creative control. These are probably, by the looks of it, best suited to guests and design work rather than dinosaurs, but maybe some smaller and safer species could potentially be contained within. Only 2 dinosaurs make the cut for the species highlights this month. The first is the 3rd appearance today of the Thescelosaurus, with 3 feathered skins and the more default scaled skin we saw earlier. The 3rd is a little dull, with, some people will appreciate that, and the 4th is a terrifying goose creature I wish to ignore, but the 2nd at least has some really nice colourful plumage around the neck. And regardless of whether you love all the skins, it's important that they look individual and different, that we've got options. If you want bright, you've got bright. If you want colourful, you've got colourful. If you want dull, you've got dull. And as much as I am spooked by the goose, because a swan tried to kill me when I was like 5 years old, the way the lower beak sort of blends back into those lighter pinks and reds, and sort of like it's the inside of the mouth, makes it really interesting in a way that the others aren't. The second of our species highlights is the return again of the Nothronychus. Nothronychus is what we're going with. My beloved slothy dinosaur. This and the Thescelosaurus have been retextured recently, hence the highlights here, and whilst I don't have the previous iterations to hand, there's definitely some interesting colour and texture combinations going on here. It is inherently a bit of a messy dinosaur. Feathers are splaying out everywhere and the body shape is, just strange. The one on the left is staring me down menacingly as I write this, so I feel I should say something nice, but I do prefer those warmer, earthy tones of the middle one, much less threatening. There is a slight fake sort of rubbery feel to the heads here, and it does pop up every now and again in Prehistoric Kingdom, I would say, but I think part of that may be the dinosaurs being shot outside of their natural in-game lighting and in-game environments. We're going to have to wait to see how they look in motion and in-game before we can properly judge these dinosaurs. This month also sees the introduction of a new prestige system, a way to counteract your early game dinosaurs becoming irrelevant, as well as making you focus on dinosaur welfare. Basically, if you keep dinosaurs' mood above 90% in a suitable habitat, they'll slowly begin to gain prestige stars. Now this doesn't mean your Psittacosaurus is about to outrank your T-Rex, but it also means you don't need to turn it into a dino burger as soon as you unlock a new dinosaur and need some more space. With proper care, all your dinosaurs can become really valuable. It's an interesting system that I don't really think I've seen before like this. More prestige means more guests. Viewing your dinosaur means more park entrance, means more moolah, which means more money. Alternatively, if you treat your dinosaurs badly and they break out and kill people, or diseased or otherwise, then those prestige stars will start to drop. As tempting as it may be to let your 5-star Rex loose on your park guests, that's probably not a good idea. Again, this does make a lot of sense and is an added incentive to keep your dinosaurs both contained and happy. That said, the ability for a Rex to break out and kill as many humans as possible before being caught seems like something they should be proud of. There's some prestige attached to that in my opinion, and I think the poor guy deserves a little love for that, but whatever. Anyway, that's it from me folks. Like I say, a short one this week. Sorry one last time for the delay here, but Planet Zoo and Jurassic World Evolution have kind of tag teamed me this month and not in a good way, so it's kind of what my focus has been on. I will make sure it's not nearly as late next time however, so stick around for more updates on Prehistoric Kingdom very soon. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers, much love as always, bye bye. Hey folks, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to help support me a little bit more, you can do so at patreon.com/bestinslot. There's a link in the description down below. Every little really does help in times like these, but it's not at all expected, and by just watching the video you've already helped me out massively, and it makes you a pretty cool person, so well done you. Thanks for joining me either way, I'll see you next time.